All right, here's our example written out in a little more detail. So the initial wealth is $100. If the accident occurs, the individual loses $50. The accident occurs with a 10% probability, and our utility function is a log of W. So let's start by writing out the probabilities and the payoffs if they happen. So there's the probability, and here is the payoff. So there's a 90% probability that the individual keeps their initial wealth. And there is a 10% probability that the individual loses $50 and has an initial wealth of $50. So we can use this now to calculate the expected wealth. And that is simply 0.90 times 100 plus 0.10 times 50, and this is equal to $95. So that is the expected wealth. Okay, we could also ask, what is the expected loss? Well, in this case, the expected loss is the probability that the accident occurs times the amount that is lost during the accident. And that means the expected loss is $5. And as we think about this, this is the amount we're going to look at as the actuarial fair premium. So that's what that $5 can represent there. Now we want to know is, what is the expected utility? Okay, and that's where we're going to go to next to be able to calculate this out. And we've seen this before. Right? This is our Van Neumann-Morgenstern expected utility, which is the probability of each event happening times the utility if that event happens. So there's a 90% chance the individual will have $100, and therefore their utility is log 100. Plus there's a 10% probability that the accident will occur. In that case, they'll lose $50, so they'll have $50 left, and that's how we're going to calculate their expected utility. And so if I calculate that out, that will equal 4.54. Okay, so if they take on the risk and have a 10% probability of losing $50, their expected utility is 4.54. Now let's suppose instead of taking on that risk, the individual buys insurance at the actuarial fair price, which we showed was the value of the expected loss, which is $5. Let's now calculate the utility in that case. Well, in that case, is whether there's an accident or not, the utility is going to be, the wealth is going to be $95. So one way to write this is we could write it this way. The utility is equal to, there's a 90% chance that there's no accident. In that case, they will get $95. And there's a 10% chance for an accident, but if there is an accident, they don't have to pay out, but they still have to pay their premium. So it's $95, which is simply equal to the log of 95, which is 4.55. And comparing these two numbers explains why the individual will decide to purchase insurance, because they're better off with insurance than they are taking on that risk.